here we are. This time I believe I started it right. Hit the live button right when I wanted to start talking, and as we start, voice is still not warmed up. Still needed some coffee. My God, what the hell was that? All right. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes for some folks to show up. See where things are going. See if notifications are turned on. And I will try my best to kind of pace the volume of my voice, pace the volume of me speaking, because I notice that whenever I go on long spells, I get lightheaded. And if you guys see me with the hoodie kind of propped up a little bit, that's because my head is cold. I just got the new cut, so I've never felt my head be so cold in such a long time. Well, welcome everybody. So I did the live stream last week, as for the time being, it was just gonna be like I don't want to say a one-time thing, because you guys see that I periodically go live. I want to say about maybe once a month, once every 2 months or so, once in a blue moon. But I really enjoyed my time. There's no data. Did I drop streams? Am I dropping streams? I mean, frames? Streams. OBS is saying no. If any of you are in the chat, please let me know if everything's looking good on your end, because I'm a little afraid that it is. Actually, let me pull myself up on the phone. Getting an ad. Okay, I'm looking good on my phone. That's good. No, as I was saying, Deadpool 22, welcome to the stream. Thank you, looking good. Good evening. Jesus, really? Spartan Elsa I don't know how to pronounce that. My apologies if I butcher it. Borbell. Good evening from Stormy Liverpool, UK. Looking good, bro. Thank you so much. From Liverpool. I have people watching from UK? Good lord, how's the weather over there? And you said good evening, so if I'm not mistaken, it's like an 8-hour difference, so it's almost like 9 o'clock over there? 9 o'clock in the evening? But, yeah, what I was going to say is that last week I did it as more like a spur of the moment thing, but then at the end I was like, I actually kind of like this. I liked talking to you guys. I liked kind of taking this weekly approach of taking the stuff that's been announced as far as McFarlane, as far as Marvel Legends, as far as anything that is very pertinent to Batman and Spider-Man, and just kind of compacted as much as possible into a Google Keep, and post it, and then just kind of have it be the itinerary or the agenda for a live show, and then taking snippets of that live show and then translating it into a form of content that kind of sporadically goes out throughout the week for people who didn't catch the VOD, or rather didn't catch the live stream when I was live, who don't feel like watching the entire VOD, and then just taking certain topics that I know are gonna pique people's interests and be high up there as far as major hot topics that are probably gonna be circulating in people's minds, and then posting those as individual videos. So that's probably going to be the approach that I'm going to be doing, and testing it out for a couple of weeks to see exactly how it goes down. Nearly 8 p.m., cold and wet. Does the weather get cold, and like you mentioned, wet, sooner than other parts of the world over there in the UK? Because over here, we're barely, I mean, you'll notice I'm wearing a bit of a jacket right here. It did drop to like 40 degrees outside. But this was a very sudden thing. Like last week, it was still getting kind of warm throughout this time in the afternoon. Right now, it's 12:53 here in Southern California. And this time last week, it was still getting a little toasty, to where I could still wear a t-shirt going out, but I would take a sweater with me, because in the evening it would get a little chilly. Right now, it's already chilly, just being daytime, and we're just and at this time part in my lifetime, we're kind of tossing it up to climate change or global warming or whatever you want to call it, because it's nuts that we're barely getting cold and we're already entering November. And Southern California is still having some moments of toastiness to where it gets kind of hot and I have to like turn on the AC. And we're entering November? Come on. Like at that point, it can almost really be debated. But that's a whole nother topic. It's insane. McFarlane Digital Collector. Spartan, how does that work? Like I understand that McFarlane has their like whole digital thing going on as far as like the fidgetals, as far as signing up for McFarlane Digital and then redeeming codes and things like that. But how, as far as like a collector of McFarlane Digital assets, like just give us the yay or the nay as far as how it's going as a collector of the digital stuff versus physical. Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it could be improved? What areas could be improved? That kind of thing. Okay, so we have a few topics to get through. Actually, quite a few. Quite a few to the point where I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to tackle them all, because much like last week, I do plan on joining my girlfriend for dinner. That's not going to be until like almost 4 o'clock, but at the same time, prior to that, I do need to head out and run some errands. Someone is interested in purchasing another Hot Toys from me. Shout out to Sahir, who bought my Arkham Origins XC suit and met up with me. And when we met up, he was like, "Oh shit, I recognize you from YouTube." So that was pretty cool. Shout out to him. And so yeah, so I got a couple of errands to run, but prior to that, we got a show. We got a full show, and I kind of want to get through these topics already because, like I said, we got quite a few of them as we're going through. Some going through the Google Keeps, some of which will actually delve a little bit into the video game. Actually, if you want to get technical, our first topic is kind of video game related, even though it's still McFarlane Toys based. But yeah, it's going to be touching a little bit on movies, games, maybe TV shows. No, primarily video games, but even a little bit of actually, no, not movies. A TV show towards the end, but that's only if we have time. Because I don't feel like it's like the most important thing ever. But at the same time, we'll see how things are going. Honestly, the digital stuff isn't bad, but it could be better. How so, Deadpool? Are you collecting any of the McFarlane digital stuff? And I'm also kind of surprised why Marvel Legends hasn't done anything digitally wise speaking. Like, they haven't bothered to do anything with their stuff. I'm curious. But then again, McFarlane's company is private. So I feel like with Marvel Legends, you have external sources telling them, nope, you're not doing that. Do not mess with that. Do it on your own time. Do it with some other kind of line, but don't do it with us. Marvel / Disney, I'd imagine. Okay, so topic number 1. It's looking like in a very unanimous form of decision making or consensus, a lot of people kind of gathered together towards a common enemy. A lot of McFarlane collectors got together and were able to find common ground and resonance in hating the McFarlane Toys Justice League Task Force Build-A-Figure wave, because I've never seen a wave be frankly kind of hated on by almost everybody. It's not even 50-50. Almost everyone dislikes this line being announced and going relatively soon after for pre-order. That was initially announced at New York Comic Con, and just a few days later, McFarlane posts this teaser image and announces that the pre-orders are going to go up tomorrow, which was, I believe, this past Friday. So pre-orders have been up. And just for context, to kind of just clarify exactly just how badly people are not really vibing with this wave, this went up for pre-order October 25th. I believe it was Friday, October 25th at 9 a.m. Pacific. Because, they're from Vegas. That's where their headquarters are based at. And as the the time of this stream, as far as I can check, as far as I can toss it. In fact, I believe on a separate tab, I do have, there we go. It is still available from the McFarlane Toys store, as well as probably other retailer sites, such as Target. I don't know about Walmart. I don't even know if it's up at Walmart. I don't even know if it's up at Target necessarily, but Amazon, fan channels like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, they still got this entire wave up for pre-order. And on top of that, the McFarlane bundle that they often do with Build-A-Figures or complete waves is still available for that discounted price, going from $100, where it's basically all 4 figures combined with the regular price, but then McFarlane kind of shaving off a little bit of that excess to the point where you're almost, not completely, but almost getting Darkseid for free. Almost, I want to say you're getting Darkseid for about $10 off. So for $85, you can get all 5 of these figures, and they're all still, it's all still available, and you could probably even get a further discount if you know the right codes, if you know the magic words. So the fact that this thing is still available, like I said, everybody just completely unanimously decided that they don't like this wave. A lot of people said that it was ugly. A lot of people said that it was cheap, that it was such a deep cut that people don't know what McFarlane is talking about. That's probably the one area I will agree on and just completely understand where they're coming from, is that this is such an obscure cut that when they said the name Justice League Task Force, no clue what they were talking about. However, when I saw the cover art of the game, which I think someone posted it in the chat or in the comment section for the post here. I know somebody put up a GIF of the game right here. Right here, you can see right there that it's supposed to be a fighting game for, I believe, the Super Nintendo. So I'm wondering if anybody posted artwork of the game, because by name, like I said, I don't want to risk clicking that, but by name, I did not know what they were talking about as far as Justice League Task Force. Let me see if maybe, here we go. Okay, so there's the hashtag. But I'm wondering if anybody bothered. Well, kind of, sort of, right here. There's the cover art. And when I saw this cover art, that's when it finally resonated with me. I'm like, okay, never played the game. Didn't have a Sega Genesis nor a Super Nintendo. My cousins had a Super Nintendo, but they obviously didn't have this game. But I can tell you that I've seen this cover a handful of times at Blockbusters throughout the 90s. At Target's, Toys R Us, when I was going kind of like down the aisle and seeing like the different rows of games. And at the time when I was, the release date of the Nintendo 64 was kind of coming up, they still had a few Super Nintendo games kind of in stock to kind of sell off before they finally officially transitioned to the next generation of consoles. At the time, PlayStation, it would be PlayStation, Dreamcast, and N64. And I remember seeing this cover art a couple of times there. So once I saw this imagery, 2 things came to mind. One, okay, finally the game has kind of unlocked a little bit of a core memory, but I never played the game, so I don't have that strong affinity that probably McFarlane has enough to be moved to create an entire wave that then becomes a Build-A-Figure wave that gives you Darkseid. So that is pretty amusing. The second thing that came to mind that is almost as equally amusing is the fact that there is no Wonder Woman. Despite how predominant she's taking up the cover art, and how much I would argue that next to Batman and Superman, it would probably be Wonder Woman that you would want to be in that BAF, but instead, we get Aquaman and Flash, who are kind of even smaller on the cover than she is. So even other people in the chat were like, why, in the comment section, I can't remember if I saw it on Reddit and Facebook or even on this Twitter post, X post, people were arguing like, why no Wonder Woman or Green Arrow, since they're very predominant characters in this fighting game from DC and Sunsoft, who I believe also made the Batman NES game, which I did play, and I really do like. So it is curious to kind of tease the idea that maybe there's going to be like a platinum for the Justice League Task Force Wonder Woman, but at the same time, this is such an obscure cut that I doubt that they're going to be doing that. And I do think it's a little, I don't want to necessarily say use the word shady, but a little eyebrow raising that we didn't get Wonder Woman. I don't know if it's continuing the trend of McFarlane believing that Wonder Woman figures are not going to sell. Turn on this light. I think it's a little harsh. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if it's like continuing this way of thinking that McFarlane thinks that it's not going to sell, or it's the fact that maybe it will sell a little bit too much, considering that this rendition of Wonder Woman ain't exactly, let's just say, I don't mind, but modern audiences might mind. I'm just saying, look at her and you think that some parent at Target or whatever is not going to look at that and be like, oh my God. Yeah, like, honestly, I'm almost willing to lean towards that second reason. Or it could be both. And it was just too much that McFarlane was like, nah, I gotta go with either, one of these was for sure going to be Flash. And I would almost argue that the Aquaman slot would have been Wonder Woman, but instead they would have had, it would have looked even cringier if they took this Wonder Woman and then just covered her up completely. Because they went with a much more old school attire back in that early 90s with the Sega Genesis SNES version. And if you change it, you get backlash for that. If you don't change it, you're going to get backlash later. So to avoid all of that, I would imagine that McFarlane probably just opted to do Aquaman, and that's that. So it's a shame that it went in that direction, but apart from those comments and those observations, I don't feel the need to criticize this as much as other people are. I don't know what it is, but I kind of dig it. I don't love it. I'm not in a rush to get it, to the point where I didn't pre-order with McFarlane because I know that they charge right away for pre-orders. I instead did pre-order, but through Big Bad Toy Store and Amazon, because they don't charge until it ships. And that won't happen until I think either late November, early December or something. And I would argue that it's not a bad set. Granted, the only effect that I can look at and go, yeah, up close, it looks a little muddy, it looks a little, cheap and gimmicky, but from far away, and when you see all four kind of conjoined together within the same imagery, similar to this graphic here, I don't mind it too much. And that's going to be that pixelization effect that you mainly see on Superman. I feel like with all these characters, Superman is the one that's getting the most pixel sheen, video game sheen on him that you get right here on the chest and on the legs, that if you were to really, kind of pull the figure, isolate him, and just look at those body pieces, you're going to be like, yeah, that looks a little tacky. But once you kind of put him in certain poses with a certain shade of light, and they're at an angle where it looks like that pixel look is reflecting all from the same angle on all four of them, then they look like they're actually kind of lived in within the video game world. Granted, like I said, looking a little bit more carefully, I can tell that is the Nightfall Buck once more for Batman. That's going to be a topic of discussion in an upcoming video that I actually already filmed and I'm in the process of editing involving the Nightfall Buck. And it looks like something is similar happening with Superman. I'm trying to determine which Buck that is. As well as the Aquaman one. I think the Aquaman is also utilizing a different Aquaman from past figures before. I just don't know exactly which one it is. I actually kind of don't mind the underwater effect for his hair, or like the wind blowing effect for his hair, but at the same time, I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. And I personally kind of dig the mullet on Superman. I'm sorry, but I do also really appreciate objectively the cloth capes. And let me see if there's let me see. Actually, let me hit the... There it is. Do we have a picture of... There it is. I actually kind of like this dark side. I really like this dark side. I cannot lie. Hey, Big Rib, welcome to the stream. I don't mind this dark side. I don't know what it is, but I like the color clash. The pixel effect looks a little better on him than the other characters. The face is awesome. I gotta be honest, I kind of like this dark side. And if it means that I need to collect all 4 to build them, I might be cool with that. But like I said, I'm not in a rush to own this set to the point where I pre-ordered with McFarlane. It looks like a lot of people kind of share that sentiment because it's still readily available. But the sheer ire that I saw from people for this, I didn't understand that. But maybe some of you can help me, see the light with this, because I personally just don't see it. I just don't. What do you guys think? Yeah, Big Rib says pass for me. Comic Guy, welcome to the stream. Hey, Stormy. Who's Stormy? Basically, it's just the... wait, hold on. Let me catch up on some of these chats. This Thursday, we have Monolith dropping with 3 variants. Rare, Epic, and Legendary with the mint says... Oh. We're still talking about digital. Sorry. Monolith... You say Monolith dropping... Spartan, this isn't... the Monolith that makes video games, is it? Are they... Do they work with McFarlane to develop digital assets? Because when I think Monolith, I think... what is it? Xenoblade? They develop Xenoblade, don't they? You can also purchase collectibles in marketplace. We also have our own showrooms. Basically, it's just a small recolor of the figure you get. It would be better if they were like a whole new costume or like a coupon if you get a whole wave of them. Yeah, I mentioned that in the... What Build-A-Figure was it that they offered digital, and it would have been nice if maybe the digital thing... Oh, no, when I was doing that Rebirth Batman that was digital, that was a Phygital. And I was kind of hoping that the thing would be a body piece, and that would give me the incentive to collect the Aquaman and the Green Arrow that was in that set, and maybe those other digital coupons would have been the other pieces, and I could do a digital Build-A-Figure. But instead, no, it's just another Batman, the Rebirth Batman with the original purple and gray, but in digital. And I'm like, well, what is this? Lightning McQueen, welcome to the stream. The Flash is good, but only because it's the only classic Flash. He does have a classic look. Also, the Darkseid looks better than the one we just got. Well, the one we just got is meant to be like the Zack Snyder one, so. Oh, I thought you meant like Monolith the developer. No, you mean Monolith the Spawn variant. That, yeah, now I know what you're talking about. You guys know each other? Stormy sounds familiar, though, I will admit. Like, I feel like I've seen that name within the community someplace else, but I can't put my finger on it right now. If you hold the Phygital Batman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, all of Wave 1, you'll be able to redeem the Build-A-Figure. But that was my argument, Comic Guy. That was the critique that I had in that video, where only once you get all 3, you redeem the code, and he pops up, the Mongol, but I want to be able to actually build it. I don't just want another Batman variant in digital. I want the piece. You know, I know it sounds petty, but the way you feel when you get one Build-A-Figure figure, like you walk into a Walmart and you get a figure, and I'm getting an ad here, so let me wait. Okay, I was able to skip the ad, so you guys should be able to do it too. No, like when you walk into like a Walmart and you see a build a figure wave figure, but you don't see the entire wave. But you see one figure and you go, "This looks kind of cool. Let me pick it up." And then you see the piece, like the arm or the legs or the torso, and you think it actually in person looks cool, better than in the pictures, and you think, now that I think about it, I kind of want to build this, and gives you the incentive to build the other ones. I kind of want that same process, that same effect, digitally. But when I redeemed that code, all I got was another Batman, the Rebirth Batman, not the piece. And I'm sorry, I know that sounds kind of petty, but that's what I want. He's number 2 on the MTD leaderboard. Good old Stormy. Stormy, my McFarlane Discord name. That's crazy. Number 2 on the leaderboard. I was number 3 last night in a. I can't remember. I think it was Hardpoint in Black Ops 6. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing too shabby on this. I'm probably gonna keep playing it. The multiplayer, I haven't even touched the campaign yet, and yet I think I've already poured about 3 or 4 hours total on the multiplayer, which for me, not for anybody else, because I know people are even more crazy than that, but for me, that's a lot for a Call of Duty multiplayer. Hmm. I need Lightning McQueen. I need a lot of patience for me to 3D model. I took a 3D modeling class in community college like almost 11 or 12 years ago, and overall I did like it, but I just knew that if I really wanted to love it, it would have stuck litmus test to be like, I think I'm good. I like that idea of building the pieces, and that would be a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind it, because then it'll be like 3D modeling light. Imagine making McFarlane Toys Digital the Super Mario Maker of McFarlane Toys. We're like, yeah, we're not physically making a figure, we're not 3D printing it, but putting it kind of like together in this very kind of like robust in-app kind of way, like the way you make levels in Mario Maker, where you're like, you're not developing it like actually Nintendo does, but you're just kind of moving pieces around and creating these levels to be like, oh, like that, and share them with people. Like, I'd be down for that. We would like to convince you guys to come and have a look at McFarlane Toys Digital. Well, we'll see. I'll keep an open mind. Stormy, I'll refer to you as that. No hate on the digital way. I still like it. I still like it at the end of the day. By the way, thank you for following Comics Guy over on Twitter. I just got the notification. Before I move on to the next official topic, did any of you pre-order the Batman vs Superman wave? Because if you did, it's actually quite possible that you may have already received yours extremely fast, because others on the subreddit, as well as the Facebook group, the official McFarlane Toys Facebook group, are already posting photos of them receiving their waves. Except me. But I have I'm getting some drop frames there. 252 frames. But technically, there is a bit of an explanation. It's a shitty explanation, but it is an explanation nonetheless as to why I haven't received mine. It's not of any fault to McFarlane. If you want to get official, most of the fault is mine. But at the same time, I feel like it's something that should have been resolved by now. I'll get into it in a little bit. But really, really quick, you'll see right here I have a couple of posts. Here's one from Reddit from Ambitious Award 7932. They arrived. I don't know why it says Chase on his box, but when you kind of flip through it, they used a different box, like from a different wave. But inside of it was the Doomsday and Superman 2-pack. Okay. And then I believe in a different box came the other three figures. Nightmare Bat, Wonder Woman, and the Armored Batman. So there's all 5 figures there from that bundle. And he was courteous enough to include UPC codes in case you guys want to track it down in store. But yeah, I mean, this guy's already got it. And that was what, 19 hours ago? Got another post here 45 minutes ago. McFarlane just arrived. Nightmare Bat. I don't know if he, she, or they, saying gamer, they only ordered the Nightmare Bat. Sudden Appearance 35 over on the subreddit, posting photos of all 4, 5. So they probably ordered the entire bundle. So yeah, they're already shipping. And I don't know if you guys kept track, but I called it. I called it on last week's stream that pre-orders went live, and I thought to myself, yeah, and how much you want to bet that they're going to ship sooner rather than later, because the majority of the figures already exist. They're just retools, specifically Superman and Wonder Woman, because those are pre-existing figures that they just kind of redecoed a little bit with like a much more obscure, much more opaque color scheme and a cloth cape for Superman, and that was it. Batman is the same as the BVS Batman that came out earlier this year, except now he's got the coat. The Armored Batman might be a retool of the comic book Armored Batman that's kind of loosely based on the Dark Knight Returns one. And the only newish figure would probably be Doomsday. So yeah, considering that they're mostly retools, it's like it didn't escape me that they were going to ship already. So yeah, I called it on last week's podcast that they were going to start shipping towards the end. Either they were going to start shipping, or they were going to start popping up in stores late October. Even though it's labeled as, ships November, I was calling it. I was like, late October, they're going to start popping up. And they're already shipping to some people. And, people were genuinely surprised. Like, oh my God, we're already getting them? I'm like, are you really that surprised? Because most of these figures, we got them before. They're just kind of like reissues, retools. I'm just going to pre-order Mr. Terrific right now. Some of those collector's figures do look kind of nice as far as quality. I just don't really have any kind of affinity for the characters. That's why I haven't pre-ordered. Comic Guy, you say that pre-ordering on McFarlane first, you'll get it before street date. I want to say about 80% of the time that is correct. But earlier this year, that other 20% did happen with the Batman Forever wave. That Batman Forever wave was already on its way from, I think, GameStop, and I think people were getting them from Target? Or no, we're finding them in Targets before McFarlane shipped theirs out. And I'm over here like, what's going on, guys? So yeah, ever so often there'll be the outlier where for some reason the company who made the figure hasn't shipped theirs, and yet you can find it in some other store. I don't know. It's happened. It's happened to me a couple of times. Now, as far as the As far as the BVS wave and why I haven't gotten my bundle yet, even though I pre-ordered that morning, just like some of these folks. In fact, last week when they were posting a lot of the emails saying that your order has shipped, it would show the date when they shipped it, which was October 18th, which is when pre-orders went live. I pre-ordered that same morning. So coolio, mine should be shipping. Unfortunately, there's been a little bit of a snafu with my PayPal account, which is what I use to pay for these Batman vs Superman bundle. Basically, long story short, when I pre-ordered this bundle, I actually didn't have the exact money needed for the bundle. And so what happened is that PayPal then returned the funds, or undid the extraction of funds from my bank account because my bank account rejected it because I didn't have enough funds. So I left it as pending. On what date are we? On Thursday, I want to say Thursday night, they took out the funds necessary for this order because I finally did have money in my account. It was just a momentary relapse. But then I had the money. They took the money. Cool. So my bank account sent the funds over to PayPal. They took out the funds from my bank account. But PayPal is still showing it as pending. PayPal is still showing that transaction to McFarlane Toys for this bundle as pending. Until they change it from pending to either complete or finished or whatever terminology they use, McFarlane Toys, if I go over to my account, I don't want to show it obviously, but if I go to my account and go onto my orders and look at the bundle, it still says in status, awaiting payment. So until that payment over on my PayPal account doesn't say pending anymore, then it'll stop saying awaiting payment and then it'll start saying awaiting fulfillment. Because then that'll give the signal to McFarlane to like, okay, this guy paid, start packaging his order and let's print out a label and ship it. But because that payment is still pending, my order for the BVS Wave still shows awaiting payment, and that's why they're not shipping it. So if it wasn't for this whole confusion that I'm still waiting to get cleared, I don't think I either would have had it by now or it would have been in transit. And also, without doxing myself, let's just say that I'm not that far off from Vegas. I'm within driving distance. It's a long drive, but I'm technically within driving distance. I could drive to Vegas by this afternoon if I wanted to. Which means that if they were to have like shipped by today, it probably would have been here either tomorrow or Thursday. By the end of the week for sure. But because of this goddamn PayPal issue, still waiting on mine. So for those of you who were probably interested in seeing reviews of me covering this brand new BVS Wave, it's probably going to be a little while, to be quite honestly. Because for those of you who don't know, I mostly shoot on the weekends because that's when my parents kind of go out both Saturday and Sunday to go out to eat for like an hour or so. And that's actually the golden time to be able to film. Because any other day, either my mom's home or both of my parents are home. And let's just say that neither of them really respect what I do here. So it's not exactly quiet. Specifically my dad. My dad's the one that doesn't give a shit. Because he thinks this is not a real job. This is not real. That kind of old school mentality. Just being completely honest and blunt. And therefore, if I try to film while he's here, there's going to be noise. He'll do it on purpose. So I have to shoot on the weekends. And if this set is not here by the weekend, then I won't be able to cover it this weekend. I do have a backup, but it's probably going to be a little while before you guys see me cover the BVS Wave, to be quite honest. So I'll try to like come up with a different angle, probably like some comparisons to some prior released BVS related figures, like the Superman, the original 2021 Justice League version. So yeah, We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that's my current situation with the BVS wave, is that it's being held up. It's being held up. And who knows, maybe later this afternoon I'll finally get the notification from PayPal saying, hey, we cleared it. Cool. And then when I go over to the McFarlane Toy Store account, it'll say awaiting fulfillment. And I'm like, all right, now I just got to wait. Now I got to wait on McFarlane. So officially right now I'm waiting on PayPal. They took the funds. Again, the funds left my account, but now I'm just waiting for PayPal to be like, oh, here it is. Click and just hit that damn button. And I've tried opening up a chat discourse with them, calling them, and they're like, you have to wait. You have to wait. Fucking annoying, to be quite honest. Same, bro. Deadpool, do you make videos? Deadpool 22? Anyone ordered the Catwoman statue by Jock today? I saw it go up, but with resin statues, I'm very, very picky. I very seldom do. I think right now I only have like 2 on pre-order, and even them I'm thinking about canceling because those resin statues, they can go for a pretty penny. And unless I have really good expendable income, and sure, I can make content off of them, but at the same time, they're statues. It's like, I'm not going to be able to articulate them. They don't have accessories, don't have the space. They're just going to go into storage. So I'm like, should I even do it? Fabio, welcome to the stream. I received a notification that my pre-order for Wonder Woman from MTS shipped today. The other figures did not ship yet. That's another thing too. The Gold Label exclusive 2-pack, which is the Nightmare Batman and the Armored Batman, but the ones with like the variances, so the Armored Batman with the battle damage and the Nightmare Batman with the scarf, that one hasn't shipped either. And that one let's just say that one I didn't use my PayPal account. I actually used the card. But that one still says awaiting fulfillment, so they're still waiting on that one. So that's curious that one hasn't shipped yet. Maybe they're waiting to get stock that will cover not just McFarlane Toy Store, but also Walmart, because that was meant to be a Walmart Con exclusive. So that's probably what they're waiting on. I'm still new. Yeah, like just batch record as much as you can during those quiet times. That way you cover yourself for like a week or two, and then spend that week or two editing. And that's pretty much the approach that I have right now. Until I move into my own place, because once I move into my own place, then I'm going to film, edit, publish, rinse and repeat. And that way I can film whenever I want. And pivot whenever I want, because there's a number of times where I want to pivot so bad, because something that I can tell more people are curious about versus another figure or another collectible or another topic dropped, and I'm like, I hate to do this, but this video that I was filming was kind of more like a passion thing, but this figure that everyone is excited for, myself included, and I had on pre-order, just arrived and is about to ship out, or just shipped out. Now I gotta pivot to that and drop whatever it is that I was doing. I've done that a handful of times, so you gotta be ready for that. Joy of digital collecting on McFarlane. Got a coupon for 75% off that Catwoman today. Couldn't pass it up. So I did notice that as an incentive as well. And 75% is quite a lot. Like I said, the 2 that I have on pre-order right now, and even then I'm still kind of debating as to whether or not I should keep the pre-orders, is the Christian Bale Dark Knight Trilogy resin statue. And there's a second one where I can't remember the artist, but it is a comic book based Batman where he's like flying, he's kind of like grappling a little bit with like the rope and the batarang. It's kind of like this. Can't remember what it was called. But yeah, the Catwoman, I'm kind of like, whatever's about. For now, at least. Okay, next topic. Speaking of, actually, it's kind of perfect timing because Anonymous, welcome to the stream. I need the McFarlane Batman Beyond Batmobile. So I didn't really gravitate towards that Batmobile, even though I did pre-order on Amazon because, like I said, they don't charge until it ships, and you don't get the Batman figure, but you still get the Batmobile with lights and sounds, and plus the Batmobile that comes with the set in the Walmart exclusive one or the McFarlane Toy Store one. I don't really like it all that much. I kind of prefer to just use a regular Batman Beyond. So I'm good on that. But speaking of Batmobiles, guess what's going up for pre-order this Friday, November 1st at the time of this stream? Or if you're watching this as a separate video, pre-orders probably already up for the Batman and Robin Batmobile, which not only got announced over at New York Comic Con a couple weeks back, but McFarlane finally posted an official video on October 26th at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, all the way to work on a Saturday, all the way to work. Saturday morning, wake up, and god damn it, McFarlane posts this video. Fucking blow it up. Kinda, sorta. Basically, of the Batman and Robin 1997 Batmobile. And as you can blatantly tell right there, we officially got lights and sounds, which is a given. We needed the lights and sounds for the Batman and Robin because it's the most toyetic, bombastic, in-your-face Batmobile there is. The whole purpose of it even being in the movie was to sell toys, and lo and behold, McFarlane Toys had their work cut out for them by making the most toyetic Batmobile. And in doing so, they needed, it's not that they should have, they needed to do lights and sounds. So the fact that it's including lights and sounds, I'm like, all right, we're covered on that. Plastic seems to be kind of glossy, but I believe it was very glossy in the movie, so that's covered, that's accurate. As far as what I can see from the video and those sweeping shots from this preliminary teaser video, it's looking pretty accurate. Because again, kind of what I was sort of saying a little bit in my review for the Batman Forever figure, the Batman Forever Batmobile, was that these Batmobiles were, again, told to Schumacher from WB to be made very toyetic, to be made like they could sell as an action figure, as a toy, whether it be as an RC car or just as a vehicle. And so, since they were designed with that mindset, the toys are not going to be a problem whatsoever. And so with McFarlane making it in the scale to fit a 7-inch toy, which I don't, it doesn't appear like it's going to be including any of the Clooney Batmans unless there's like a variant that they're going to toss in, which right now I'm kind of doubting because that New York Comic Con panel slideshow, it showed the Batman and Robin Batman, the Clooney Batman, but underneath it had a label that said toy not included. So I'm guessing this is going to be just the Batmobile by itself, and it does say in the caption that our Batmobile from the Batman and Robin movie launches for pre-order November 1st at select retailers, which means it's not going to be a gold label, it's not going to be a McFarlane Toys exclusive. It will be available at BBTS, Entertainment Earth, Amazon, possibly Target, but keep in mind that when it says select, it usually means they're cutting one out. They're cutting either Walmart or Target. So we'll see which one. But are you guys pre-ordering this? Oh, whoops. Big snafu there. You can tell I'm getting lightheaded. Well, I mean, I'm on the... Okay. That wasn't that big of a... There was no data. There was nothing there. I was on the analytics page. Okay, good. I was on the analytics page. I wasn't on the stream settings page. If I was on the stream settings page, the key might have been out there. I was like, fuck. But no, I was on the analytics. Thank God. So no settings details were shown. That's good. All right. So even if someone were to go back and pause it, you won't see anything. Whew. You can tell I'm getting lightheaded from all the talking. Needs to come with a Happy Meal the way McDonald's sponsored that movie. Was it McDonald's? I thought it was Taco Bell. It's clean as hell. I just don't like McFarlane figures. Otherwise, I'd get it. Just get it. Just don't get any of the toys. Just get it to collect the Batmobile, so it could go next to the Forever one, next to the Keaton one. If I had a bigger light box, I would try to grab all the Batmobiles and just put them next to each other to see how they compare. And then display them on the proper shelf, but I don't have that right now. But I could have sworn it was Taco Bell who had the toys. Let me actually, you know what? I'm curious now. Are you guys still hearing the sound effects from the car? God damn it. Alright, there you go. Or do I have that muted? Oh no, I have that muted. Okay, good. Let me check McDonald's, because I believe it was Taco Bell. McDonald's did Batman Forever. I think. Yeah, I think McDonald's did Batman Forever, because Batman and Robin was, let me mute this guy. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, Batman and Robin was, Taco Bell. But for some weird-ass reason, inside of the Taco Bell toys, really sweaty for some reason, inside of the Taco Bell toys, they threw in an animated series Batmobile. And I know this because I had this. I remember this. 1997. I remember you would press the button on the front and it would spring open. See if he shows it. Yeah, you would pull it back, it'll launch forward, press the button on the front, and that will, boom. And you got that part in the middle. It's just a strange gimmick because I don't think he ever did that. But I still loved it. I loved it. Yeah, but then you had all this. Oh no, the Adventures of Batman and Robin set. Then what was Batman and Robin? The movie. Am I getting my wires crossed? I'm probably getting my wires crossed. Hold on. Oh, with Batman and Robin the movie, I think it was just the cups. Oh, okay, it was this. It was like a promotion. It wasn't actually toys. Look at this. It was this. Okay. So it wasn't actually toys. That's what I'm thinking of. Bam. The cups. Alright, so, Stormy, Spartan, thank you for dropping by. See ya. I don't know if you're leaving, but if you are, thank you for dropping by. Hope to see you later. Yeah, now it's jogging my memory, but I could have sworn there were other toys. Who had the Batman and Robin toys? Type in 98 maybe? No, they're still talking about the cups. And the animated toys. Yeah, that is completely different than what I was thinking. I guess that was it. It was just the cups. Could have sworn there were other toys. But yeah, no, it's just the cups. Interesting. But, you know, just to clarify, though, I am getting the Batman and Robin Batmobile going up for pre-order this Friday because it is kind of neat that they're incorporating the lights and sounds. I am interested to see what the price is going to be because based on how they tackled the Batman Forever, which was $100, but it did come with Alfred. So if they were to cut out Alfred, I would say it's probably going to be around the realm of like $80, maybe $90. $80 to about $90. Hopefully they keep it within that placement because if it starts to peer off over 100, it's going to get kind of nuts. And this, I do believe that this Batmobile for Batman and Robin is designed to be a little bigger. Even though it's still fitting a 7-inch, I think the front of the car is always meant to be to scale a little bit bigger because of the way that it was shown on screen. But for the sake of reviewing it, keeping consistent with the channel, with the stuff that I've been covering on the channel, and seeing that I've been covering all the Batmobiles from McFarlane thus far, I will be picking it up. Now the question is where? Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just double checking on something. Okay. So, next topic. Do any of you, and I completely understand if you don't, but do any of you collect the Hot Toys figures? You know, take it a step above to like the Lamborghinis of action figure collecting, the Ferraris of, I don't know if the Ferraris, because the Ferraris I feel is like more in art, but below that, Hot Toys, as far as what could be purchased a little bit more flexibly, is that even a word? But you get what I mean. Like once we're start talking into like the hundreds, do any of you collect Hot Toys figures? Specifically Hot Toys based on some of the characters that we love, like for example for me, Batman and Spider-Man, because I do. when I can. I think that's like the big asterisk, the big parentheses is when I can, because those things can be a little bit pricey. You know, we're at as cheap. I think the cheapest that we get, or the most lowest that we can even possibly go, is about 200 to 250. But lately, I feel like a lot of them average somewhere between 300 to 400 now, because of, as much as cliche as it's becoming to say, you know, inflation and the quality that they're putting behind the figures, which is an escalation in quality. But at the same time, it's like, okay, when do we kind of start drawing the line as far as like you guys just adding stuff for the sake of adding? And ever so often, they'll put something out that even I look at and go, okay, but why? Why? And to me, I think the most recent example would have to be this new Hot Toys Advanced Suit 2.0 Spider-Man from Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but this is the red and black version. They recently, in a span of like 3 days, announced this, put it up for pre-order, and released it in Hong Kong. Does it make sense that all those things happen so quickly? Yes, because this figure is essentially just a repaint. That's all it really is. And this is probably the picture that I wanted to use the most, is that it's essentially just a repaint of the original Advanced Suit 2.0, only this time the red is a bit more maroonish, kind of, sort of. But the biggest difference is now it's black where it should be blue. But apart from that, I believe everything else is exactly the same. And since it is, they made it a limited quantity, even though it's still technically up for pre-order. So if you still want to pre-order one, it is on low stock, though, at sideshow.com. But it is still available. But they're limiting it to 2,500 units. So do any of you have any kind of interest in this? Because ironically, as much as I like clashes of like red and black, like red and black is my favorite clash. It really is. I mean, that's why my logo for Dark Spider David is red and black, or red and gray, red and silver, that kind of stuff. But ironically, I just don't really see it here with Spidey. I prefer to just keep the classic red and blue with the accents of white for the Advanced Suit 2.0 from the Spider-Man games. And since I already own that version, don't really see the need for this guy, personally. It almost kind of reminds me of when they did the red and black suit from the ending of Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then they made that Hot Toys. And even I was like, I already have the Homecoming red and blue Stark suit, or tech suit, however, whatever you want to call it. Don't feel the need to get that red and black, which is ironic because my favorite clashes are red and black. But for Spidey, I strangely just never gelled with it. I'd rather them do something a little crazier, a little nuttier when it comes to a color scheme, instead of just taking the blue out and putting black in, and then that's it. The rest of the figure is exactly the same. I'm like, all right, then you got to go crazier with it. The red then needs to be swapped with something else. Gold, silver, white, armored Spidey, the armored spider suit. So yeah. But the blogger photos, they did a good job with the blogger photos, though. I really dig them. Keeping up appearances with the arms there, the backgrounds. A little bit of the black tendril, the black goo. Still see quite a bit of creasing in the suit right here, though. It's an awful lot of creasing. One of my biggest complaints about the figure. But it's just something that's going to happen with the figure regardless. Until they change up fabrics, that's always going to happen. It's still a really good figure, though. I still really like the Advanced Suit 2.0. Like, it's hard for me to choose between Advanced Suit 2.0 and 1.0. To the point where if somebody would ask me, okay, if you have to sell one of these figures, which one would it be? I'll be like, I don't know. At the same time, it would probably be 2.0, only because when you don't have the arms plugged into his back, he does have those bumps. Whereas the 1.0 doesn't have those bumps, and he comes with more accessories. So, I guess I kind of just answered my own question there. And then posing right next to Miles. He looks a bit more complimentary with Miles, since Miles is predominantly black. I heard it. I heard it as it was coming out. Ugh, lack of oxygen to the brain. Brian's new dishwasher. Welcome to the stream, and I'm glad that you got a new dishwasher. I mean, Comic Guy, you're not really too far off. There's been a couple of instances where I showed my girlfriend some of my Hot Toys figures, and even she was like, so they're really fancy, really cool, really edgy, and high caliber dolls. And I'm like, now she was most definitely singing a different tune when I showed her that they were releasing a Loki figure, when I showed her the Endgame Loki, when I showed her the upcoming Loki from the show, the Hot Toys Loki from the show, and then when I told her that there was a Hot Toys Daredevil from the Netflix show. Then she was like, oh, these are high-end collectibles. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then I think this is up for... Hold on, let me see if I can find the Sideshow page. Because it's one thing for it to be practically a repaint. It's another for it to be going for a whopping, what is it, like 305? Recently viewed. Yes, okay, so still up for pre-order, but it is on low stock, which means that people are pre-ordering slowly but surely. 305. Now, granted, it's already available. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that Sideshow is probably gonna start shipping in the next like week or two. Because in Hong Kong they already have it available. So I think it's only a matter of a week and a half for it to show up here in the States. Regardless, though, for 305, like I said, if you don't have the original 2.0, the red and blue 2.0, and you missed out on that, okay. But even then, you can go on eBay, Mercari, OfferUp, and probably find that 2.0. And probably for either about the same price or maybe about $20, $30 cheaper. So, frankly, I'm a little nervous of what kind of slippery slope this is creating for more suits. And we're going to have another situation like we did with the first game when Hot Toys was making a bunch of Hot Toys Spideys from the first Spider-Man game from 2018 because he's got so many suits in that game that they were trying to make as many Hot Toys figures out of those suits as possible, but they overproduced, and a lot of them are probably still available whenever Sideshow has their little savings, deals, sales type of things, especially as we're getting closer here to Black Friday. And I'm like, what was the point of this? What was the point of making all these Hot Toys for all these suits? Now you got overstock. Now you got Sideshow trying to get rid of them. Maybe tossing the men free like they were with Captain Marvel a while back. And frankly, I just don't see anything different happening with something like this. And it begs the question, like, how many more unique suits are we getting? Because I know that there's this one, and there's the Superior Spidey one with, like, the different arms, which I would argue I would probably get sooner before this one. Because this one, like I said, it's just a color swap. The other one at least has different arms and some slightly different textural work on the suit. Apart from that, we're kind of good. We're kind of good on this. To me, I'm more concerned about what kind of, like I said, slippery slope it's creating for Hot Toys, where I'm like, I really don't want them to put too much sources into just putting out more of these Advanced 2.0s only with color swatches, because those sources in that time could be put towards something that we would genuinely like to see from Spider-Man 2. Brand new character, maybe a Kraven Hot Toys, a Haley. No, I'm kidding. Not a Haley, but maybe a Wraith. I actually wouldn't mind a Wraith. I don't know. I don't know if it's like necessary, but I would sooner rather have a Wraith than to get more of these just color swaps. Really. speaking of the game as well, did you guys hear about Insomniac canceling the Spider-Man 2 DLC? That they were originally going to have story DLC, especially since those leaks got out. And I think, I don't know, there's different ways to theorize this. But since then, with the announcement of the game coming to PC, very sneakily, very just like sneaking it in there, Insomniac was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not releasing DLC for Spider-Man 2, unlike the first game, because the first game technically did get DLC. Granted, it wasn't like the best DLC, but it got it. And now here they were like, nah, not for Spider-Man 2, even though the leaks showed otherwise. And I'm like, damn, they're really gonna go for that move? That's nuts. And my guess would be, I think it's a combination, because it's very difficult to pinpoint, because on the one hand I want to say that maybe it was a slightly knee-jerk reaction to the leaks, but at the same time, whenever something like that gets leaked and it's never been confirmed, they can still pull the plug if they wanted to, and sometimes we kind of have to blame ourselves for thinking that it was a concrete thing. So it's kind of like a half and half situation, where I feel like it was partly the leaks of them going, oh, we don't want to do this because you guys ruined the fun for everybody. But at the same time, those leaks was more like a proposed plan, and much like a lot of plans go differently. Who's to say, and I actually noted this in somebody's live stream, who's to say that the DLC they're now retooling and reworking into practically just being Spider-Man 3? So whatever content that was going to happen there in the DLC is now being taken and being put as storylines to then explore a little bit deeper and with proper pacing and patience in a proper third game. There's always still that possibility. And we also have to keep in mind that a lot of people keep referring to the first game thinking, oh, Spider-Man 1 had DLC, why can't I do it? We also have to remember the quality of that first game's DLC was not all that great. It wasn't bad. I played through the DLC and I was like, yeah, that wasn't bad. But are there problems? There are. Is there like this kind of like superfluous kind of feel to the DLC where I'm like, this could have just been side quests in the main game instead of releasing it as a piecemeal DLC that you have to pay for separately? Yeah. And I think it's possible that in efforts to avoid that kind of criticism, that also fueled the decision to be like, all right, we're canceling the DLC. But who's to say that DLC, whether it be the Carnage-related stuff or the Wraith-related stuff or the other stuff that was in that pre-post timeline, will still manage to make its way onto a proper Spider-Man 3? Now, a lot of people have also kind of speculated as to whether or not that's also going to be factoring into the Venom spin-off game. Let me actually see if I can pull up an article. Spider-Man. And it is kind of crazy how... And that's also another reason for why I kind of refrain from talking about it too much, because I will admit the fan base for these games is now going into Last of Us territory, where I'm like, guys, really? Like, you do know that these devs will report on you and say, hey, yeah, we're getting harassment because we're like not releasing things on time, we're not doing this, and that, and I'm like, as much as I would like for the game to have been a little bit more polished and complete, the original core Spider-Man 2 game, I also recognize that it's a game and we have other things important in life. But the way that some of these people reacted, as far as like contacting the devs and being like, what's taking so long? It's like, guys, what are we doing? I really don't want I found an article, but when I opened it, it was from IGN. And I gotta be honest, I do not want IGN articles. There's one from Vice. But it's more like an opinion thing. And I'm kind of skimming through it, and at the end of this Vice article, let's see if I could switch to it. At the end of this Vice article, they're emphasizing that Spider-Man needs to rest. I'm glad Insomniac is making this decision. It feels like they learned from the first game. What I just said. The Spider-Man 2 story was a perfect continuation of its predecessor, and it brought forward some even stronger narrative themes. Of course, we also have Wolverine coming. So maybe they could focus all on Wolverine, getting that out there, maybe sooner rather than later, and then tackling Spider-Man instead of multiple projects. Because that timeline did look like they were stretching themselves a little too thin. And I think that maybe they thought, you know what, the DLC is going to stretch us even thinner. Let's not do that. Let's not. I'm sorry. So this could be the move. And continuing here from the article, and that's one Insomniac is really going to have to lock in on. Given their proven ability to nail everything that makes Spider-Man great, I'm sure they'll do the same with Wolverine. A game being one and done doesn't take away from its impact, and as a whole, I think there is something to giving people a singular standalone experience. Making the decision to forego story DLC is the right choice. And I hope more developers are in a position to make decisions like this. It's better for the industry when the people who make the games get to say they're done with a story without needing to worry about the bottom line. I could see that. I could see that argument. And like I was going back to my original theory, who's to say that some of the material in the DLC as far as storylines, as far as narratives, won't make it into Spider-Man 3 regardless. Just as actual side quests. Black Cat PS5 Hot Toys. Maybe as a third party, but probably not Hot Toys, to be honest, Brian. Especially after the reception to her character in Spider-Man 2. In Spider-Man 1, maybe. But in Spider-Man 2, I think... I'm not sure pre-orders are going to be as high. Let's just say that. Yep, I haven't played... Wait, Deadpool, you said I haven't played it yet, but that kind of killed my vibe a little bit. What, to play Spider-Man 2? Just because there's no story, like that Vice article just said, just because there's no story DLC doesn't mean you shouldn't play Spider-Man 2. I still recommend it. I still prefer 2018 Spider-Man, but there's some highs in Spider-Man 2 that are rather high, that are probably even higher than the original game. One in particular, there's one mission in particular where I'm like, I'm not going to find this in the original. No matter how much you fight it, I'm not going to find this, what's happening here in this mission, in the original. And that's just how it's going to be. Oh yeah, the PS5 Venom Hot Toys. I actually do have that on pre-order. I wonder if that's gonna be coming out pretty soon. They're also, they also revealed recently the comic Venom, which looked cool initially, but the more I saw some photos, the more I'm like, well, it looks cool, but I also cannot ignore the fact that it's just the Tom Hardy Venom, but with a different coat of paint, with a much more comic-based coat of paint, and really wish they went with a different book, a different sculpt altogether. But I know that that's asking for a lot at that point. I know that it is. We also got the new Blade game coming out too. When is that coming out? I know it's coming out sooner than the actual movie. God damn it. I still can't believe that we can't get a Blade movie. For those of you who don't know, it got delayed again, this time indefinitely. There's no date. And frankly, I feel like at this point, they just need to kill it. I know that sounds a little, like, quite harsh, but I think that, and also a little bit of a pun, but put a stake through it. Stake through the heart. I'm sorry. It sounds like they can't do it. I'm genuinely surprised. I don't know what kind of, like, dirt or binding contract they got Mahershala Ali with it, but I'm genuinely shocked that he hasn't left yet. But I would say there's enough hype for that Blade. But here's the thing, Deadpool, keep in mind that Blade game is not being made by Insomniac. I don't know if you know that, but it's not being made. It's being made by Arcane Leon. Yeah, it's got to be Arcane Leon because Arcane Austin got shut down because they were the Redfall people. Arcane Leon are the Dishonored people and the Deathloop people. I'm sorry, I don't know where the hate came from, but I really, really, really like Deathloop. I really like that game. A lot of people like just turned around and said this game is ass. And I don't know why, but I just got this vibe like it's okay if you didn't like it. But there were some people criticizing it in a way like it was just objectively the worst game of the year. It almost seemed like a trendy thing to do. I don't know what it was, but people were just that it almost gave me the vibe that people who weren't in the big, group of people who were covering video games were the ones that were saying, yeah, Deathloop's not all that. It's like, okay, I mean, when I played it, objectively, it was a very sound game from a technical level, but people just made it seem like it didn't function. I don't know what that was. A little bit of water left on this bottle. Okay, we're actually making good time. I actually only have 2 topics. Maybe just one, we'll see. Because my last topic is, well, semi-last topic. If I can pull up the bookmark. Is Ace Age Figure Arts. It's actually a carryover from last week's stream. Because I had a topic related to Ace Age Figure Arts where in the span of like 2 weeks, they pulled some moves that both irritated me and delighted me. You guys, know that recently I did a comparison video with the Fonjoy and in it, the Fonjoy Pattinson Batman. And in that video, I also brought up the Ace Age Figure Arts Pattinson Batman, which I also compared to the Mayfix in their own separate video. As well as when I tackled the McFarlane and when I tackled the Mesco. Kept making reoccurring guest appearances. Well, it looks like Ace Age Figure Arts thought that they messed up too. And they made a 2.0, quote unquote, a 2.0 Ace Age Figure Arts Pattinson Batman. And good old Paternia over on Twitter's got the hookup with some photos that I bookmarked. And here you go. And it's predominantly the same figure, except you'll notice he's got a much better looking cape that actually ties into the collar via where it's supposed to actually tie in and not a ginormous shoulder plastic piece. So this actually looks a little bit more authentic. Now, granted, cloth is not necessarily the most accurate looking fabric to the way that it looked like in the movie, but it is at least flexible. posable, and looks like it's got a much stronger wire to then favor those mid-level posings. So there you go. And it looks like the color scheme is a bit grayish. A bit more smoky and less blue. Because it was looking kind of blue in real life. And now here, it looks like they overhauled the hue of the black to look a bit more, like I said, smoky. And he's got better accents around the boots, the yellow, on the bicep, on the chest, on the belt. Everything else, though, looks kind of the same. And keep in mind that this is meant to be like the photo prototype, so your mileage may vary when you get the actual unit, which I believe right now is the only way to get it is via the Tamashii store in New York. So you can't order this, you would have to go into the store in New York City. So you either have to buy it physically in store at that New York Tamashii Nation store, or pay a scalper online. That's the only way to really work this. But you'll notice no giant shoulder piece, a much better stitched cape. It's not dragging, although it looks like it's still kind of long right here. The only reason why they were able to kind of keep that illusion out of the way, minus the very obviously fake shadow that it's creating right here, because you can kind of see this looks like it was artificially put in, to be honest. So yeah, they made a slight revision to the Figuarts Batman that's only a Tamashii Nation store exclusive. And during New York Comic Con, it was in fact on the show floor. There it is. Now, granted, whoever put this inside of the booth or inside of the glass case with the display, probably a little rushed. Couldn't stitch the cape all that well. Because look how it's lifting right here. And the grappler is not propped in properly into the gauntlet, so that's also kind of funny. But you get the gist. And it looks like there's multiple. I think there's like 3. Because you have these 2. And then you have this one, but he's got the empty chest plate because he's holding the battery in his hand. It's probably the best looking one. Although that knee is looking a little questionable. So, yeah, there's a part of me that feels like this is a step in the right direction, but at the same time, I feel like just changing up, getting rid of that plastic shoulder piece is something that probably should have happened there from the first place. Look, somebody in the chat, even in the comment section, this is how they should have offered him in the first time. Like, this is such a minuscule change that it makes it even more obvious that they could have just done this in the first place. Because at this point, this far removed, and with this amount of time having already passed, I think you are practically at the point where you need to make a 2.0. Like a whole new figure. I'm sorry, but a whole new figure. To be quite brutally honest. Now, that was really annoying and confusing for ACH Figuarts to do on the week of New York Comic Con. But, on the other side of the coin, they announced and also put up for pre-order. Where the hell did it? Oh, here we go. Another entry in the Across the Spider-Verse wave, which I, for the most part, really like. Gwen, Miles, and Miguel are awesome. They are replicated perfectly from the movie. Spider-Punk is good. It's decent, but there are some qualities of Punk that I think are a little lacking to the point where it feels like a much more high-end Marvel Legends instead of feeling like a true Figuarts, in my opinion, when I was doing that comparison/review. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case with Peter Parker and Mayday. So they're making a Peter Parker and Mayday, or Peter B. Parker and Mayday Parker from Across the Spider-Verse. So it's him with the pink coat, or I'm sorry, the pink bathrobe, even though it's more like a safety thing for the baby, as well as the Mayday baby and the thing right here, and she just looks incredibly adorable. I love it, and it's already up for pre-order. So let me check Hobby Genki, because it's up on Hobby Genki. I don't think it's up on HLJ yet. Here we go. Yeah, I want to kind of blow up some of these photos. QTube09, welcome to stream. Black Void, welcome to stream. Not a fan of the cape. I personally feel like it's a step in the right direction, but it's just tailored still kind of a little bit too large. That, like I said, at this point, they either should have done that from the beginning, or at this point, spent sources on doing a 2.0. But yeah, so available for pre-order now, Peter B. Parker and Mayday. And the expression and the paint behind the face, the head sculpt, for both of them, for Peter and for Mayday, is just winning me over. Like, I know I had my criticisms for Punk, but I'm looking at this Mayday. I'm also looking at the fabric felt they're using for the robe, and it looks like it's wired here towards the ends. That I'm seeing a lot of details and a lot of attention to care and TLC that I'm like, I'm digging this, and I might have to pre-order pretty soon. Still available for pre-order through Hobby Genki, but they don't have like that buy now, pay later option. So I'm trying to pick the right times to do this. But you see right here via the photos, Mayday looks like she's mostly posable. I think you're able to like remove her legs and arms to fit into the baby carrier, but then attach them again when you kind of prop her out. You can remove the bathrobe and just have Peter B. Parker with the high raised legs and the socks. Super posable. A lot of cuts here for the joints, but they do look like those traditional figure arts cuts. This looks sick right here. I like this, the sculpted webbing, the texture on the head and on the chest. I'm digging that. That looks nice. The hands. Does look like you can swap out the leg pieces to then give them the proper boots. And then Mayday looks like she has a different faceplate to change the expression. That's so cute. That's awesome. And then posed right next to Miles and Gwen, although these are the Tamashii Nation store exclusives because they have a much more reflective patterning right there. And then a group shot of all those people right here, save for Miguel. Of course, Spider-Punk holding her. Take a shit. No, take a crap on the establishment. I salute you. That is awesome. So yeah, it's not a question of if I'm pre-ordering. I am. It's more of a question of when. Because like I said, right now they're only taking pre-orders where they're going to charge you right away, and then you just have to wait for it. And I don't believe that this is coming out anytime soon. Let me check. Yeah, availability date of April 30th, 2025, and that's a placeholder, which means that they expect it to maybe be a little earlier, but that's the latest. It's April 30th, 2025, so springtime of 2025, and I'm like, And I'm trying to keep this mentality in check that if it wanted to sell out, it probably would have done so by now, so hopefully I'm able to wait for a little while. Or if I want to be adventurous, maybe just wait until either Mike's Toys and Stuff, who hooked me up with the Spider-Punk, shout out to him. Not for free. I paid for it. I bought it off of him, but he just had supply on hand. He had stock in hand, so I bought it off of him. So maybe when Mike gets Peter B. Parker or Spider-Man India from Figure Arts, I'll get it from him or from someone else online, but probably him because I like supporting his business. Or I might just get from Hobby Genki because I know that they ship from Japan. And technically speaking, Hobby Genki, Hobby Link Japan, Ami, and who else? Plaza Japan. Those are the four that if you want to get Mayfixes or Figure Arts, and you want to get them as soon as possible, you kind of have to pre-order through them because they are literally localized in Japan. Like, they get them first before freights and shipping containers actually bring them overseas to then be in the States. So if you want to get them first, you gotta have to pre-order through these sites before you even hit up Amazon, Entertainment Earth, or Big Bad Toy Store. That's just how it's gonna have to be. Okay. So yeah, a really strange couple of weeks for figure arts, where you have one release that's really weird and confusing and almost kind of annoying and frustrating, but then you have another cool one that looks awesome and stays consistent with the Across the Spider-Verse wave. And speaking of the Spider-Verse franchise, last topic. Honestly, this is most definitely the last topic. Did I save any kind of... Hold on, Spider-Man. Have you guys been watching or been seeing the set photos for the Spider-Man Noir show? Because we already got some set photos. Here we go. From TMZ. I believe this is just a... Okay, this is the ad. Here we go. Okay, this is good. This is good. It'll have to be TMZ, but at the same time, I'm like, well, they got some good... They do have some good photos. Let me blow it up here. Spider-Man Noir is getting a TV show from Prime, and supposedly this is the Spider-Man Noir from Spider-Verse. And we know this because now we have set photos of the actual costume. And you guys can see it right here. So it legitimately looks like they're replicating the suit that it looked like in the movie. I mean, well, yeah, in the movie, in the Spider-Verse movies. And here we have some behind-the-scenes photos where obviously he's got... The stunt double has a bit of a harness here to make sure he doesn't fall off. And they're retaining the 1920s look. He's going to be played by Nick Cage. And there's other set photos of Nick Cage on set of him wearing, like, regular civilian getup. But this is the official suit. And overall, I actually kind of dig it. I actually really like it. It looks a little cosplay, especially when we get a little closer here. That doesn't look too bad. Right here, it's looking... maybe it's just the tailoring that was done on purpose for the stunt double so that he is more flexible when it comes to performing the stunts. Because I know that sometimes they do things here and there to make the costume a bit more flexible for stunt doubles in certain projects so that they can actually kind of like toss and tumble and throw about. So it's looking a little loose around this area. But yeah, and the mask looks... It's funny because in this other shot, these shots, mask looks kind of neat, but then over here, it just looks like a regular ski mask with some goggles. Yeah, see? And the reason for why that's a little strange is because in Spider-Verse, he had actual like textured webbing on the mask. Despite the fedora and the goggles, he still had like the traditional webbing look to the suit. And I'm not really seeing too much of that here. The goggles is the only thing that really gives it the spider look, but outside of that, not much else. So again, I'm hoping that it's one of those cases where they're just doing it for... Oh no, wait. Maybe there is some webbing. Maybe I can kind of see it right there a little bit. Maybe a little bit right there. Yeah, I mean, as far as hitting the tone and feel of the Spider-Man Noir suit, it's there. But I need to see it in action. It's definitely one of those cases where it needs to be in action. Because right here, the head is looking a little bit too big. But at the same time, that could be a stunt double thing. Especially with, like I said, how stretchy the pants are looking. But that could easily be like a stunt double thing. And that's it. So yeah, what do you guys think about Spider-Man Noir, these set photos, as well as the show itself? Do you think that it's weird that they're doing a show? Should it have been a movie, or should they have... Do you think Nicolas Cage is a little too old? I do think he's a little too old. But at the same time, the whole premise is that getting bit by radioactive spiders should also slow down your aging, or it should slow down your weakening body. So, interesting concept. I feel like we're just gonna have to wait until we see a trailer, to be quite honest. Okay, perfect time, 2:30, and I actually made it through all the topics. That's kind of crazy. Better planning too, because last time I think we managed to shave off an entire hour from last week's stream. Last week's stream was like what, 2:45. We're at 1:42, and we managed to make it through all the topics. And last week I couldn't even make it through all the topics, and it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I was like, God damn. So yeah, we actually managed to make it through all the topics. I think it would be a little weird seeing an old Peter, but it could work. Yeah, like I said, I need to see a trailer. It could work, but I need a trailer. Okay, well, I'm gonna call it right there. We managed to make it through all the topics. Don't know. I know it's a work day, so I know a lot of you probably have some other stuff to do. Lunch to get, you guys are probably done with lunch, so you need to get back to work. And like I mentioned before, I need to run some errands. I think I might be selling another Hot Toy, so I need to go. And I don't even have it with me. I need to go to storage and grab it. So I need to go and take care of that, and then meet up with my girlfriend for dinner. She's cooking dinner, and go on about my business. So appreciate you all for tuning in to the second Dark Spider cast. We'll see how long I can keep this going. As far as, and I'm also trying to decide if I should like change the day. I don't know if I'm probably gonna have to post a poll to ask people like what other day would work. Tuesdays, I could maybe do Wednesday. I don't know about Thursday. Maybe a Friday. Like I don't know which days would work best. I just do it Tuesday because I just did last week's Tuesday, so this week I did Tuesday. So I don't know. But at the same time, I noticed that when McFarlane announces something, it's towards the last half of the week or Monday. So then Tuesday becomes a bit of a good time to then grab all those topics and kind of pull them together. But I don't know. I might have to post a poll and ask people like, which day is probably the best day to do this kind of live stream thing. And granted, like I said, when after all of that's said and done, I take the hotter topics, splice them out, sprinkle in some edits, and post them as separate videos. So we'll see which ones work out of this podcast, and see what develops as the week goes on for next week's. Because, like I said, I managed to make it through all the topics, which was pretty surprising. But Deadpool, Black Void, Brian's new dishwasher, Comic Guy, Spartan Elsa, aka Stormy, or is it Stormzy? Stormy, Anonymous, Fabio, Lightning McQueen. Who else was here? And Big Rib. I believe that was it for today. Okay. So yeah, it's already 2:30 here in the west side. The west side. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of my business. You guys have a good one. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Like the stream if you could have. Share the VOD. Otherwise, if you guys couldn't watch the stream live or catch up with the VOD because it's a little bit on the longer side, we'll be taking some of these topics, splicing them out, posting them here on the channel, and seeing how they do topic-wise, reception-wise, engagement-wise, and go from there. Like I said, I'm still kind of experimenting with live streaming and doing this, like I said, on a week, for sure right now, strictly weekly basis. And still trying to decide if Tuesdays are the best day to do it or if I'm going to be switching it out for a different day. We shall see. In the meantime, though, you guys know what to do. Stay humble. And I'll possibly be seeing you guys next week. I'll catch you guys later. Take care.